This is done in our name, at our expense, and for our protection.
At the moment when the periscope would break surface, the lights go on, and in the model room, they reveal an imitation battle scene. But the cost of naval maneuvers is high, so there are many model battles, toy fleet engagements, where a novice can make a mistake or two without sinking £80 million worth of valuable ship. She'll be able to go anywhere where there's water deep enough and then fire a missile that will travel another 1,500 miles. All patrols carry fused homing torpedoes that can kill a sub at depths below 700 feet. A dreary job, but it could become only too exciting.
Let's take a look at Operation Atlantic. Early today, a NATO naval exercise ended, almost unnoticed by the press and the public. Once upon a time, it might have been news, but plans for the summit and rockets to the moon have pushed the Western defense system off the front pages. Yet by day and by night, the navies of the 8 NATO nations are training and exercising. This is done in our name, at our expense, and for our protection. Let's take a look at Operation Atlantic.
The story of the operation begins ashore in Norfolk, Virginia. This is the briefing room of the headquarters of the Supreme Allied Command Atlantic, SACLANT in short speak. In peacetime, SACLANT commands no forces, but in war, 8 navies would come under its control. Its beat is the wide surface of the Atlantic Ocean, the air above it and the depths beneath it. In the pattern of sea warfare, surface ships and planes are yielding to atomic submarines with guided missiles, but aircraft carriers are still important. Here in Norfolk's naval dockyard is the latest and greatest, the United States carrier Independence. Commissioned less than a year ago, she cost around £70 million, but she won't long be the last word in carriers. The United States have an atomic carrier due to be launched. Oceana Naval Air Station. While Independence is in port, her planes are based here. As well, Oceana handles all planes training with units at sea. Life in the Oceana Control Tower has never a dull moment. A jet takes off every 3.5 minutes. At the end of the runway, there's a special wheels sentry who fires a signal if he sees a plane coming in without its wheels down. Even jet pilots can be absent-minded sometimes. When Independence is at sea, the jets come home again, and her angled flight deck, a British invention, is their landing runway. Arrestor cables snatch them to a halt from over 150 miles an hour. The deck isn't long enough for an unaided jet takeoff either, so the planes are launched by another British invention, the steam catapult. The principle is the one discovered by James Watt as he watched the kettle boil. But he never dreamt it would come to this. While Independence launches her brood with their load of potential mischief, abeam lies the missile cruiser Canberra with her threat to the aggressor, Regulus and Terrier anti-aircraft missiles. They come to their firing position from the magazines with smooth and almost silent menace, as if they moved of their own will. Topside, they seem to sniff the air and nose out their target. These are the new weapons of sea warfare. successors to the wide-mouthed cannon that blazed off Trafalgar and the long, slim guns that stabbed the night off Jutland. Nowadays, missiles even more deadly than these can be launched from underwater. The men of Trafalgar knew only surface ships. To the men of Jutland, submarines were raiders of commerce. In the last war, they grew up, and in the uneasy years that have followed, they've become the keystone of naval strategy, able to launch a deadly Polaris missile from above or below the surface. This sub carries no missiles. She's the atomic skipjack, the root of the new sea power, they call her. She sails faster and dives deeper than any other sub. Her base is here at New London, Connecticut, headquarters of the United States Navy Submarine Command. All United States nuclear subs so far have been built at Groton, near New London. It's one of security-conscious America's most secret yards, and this is the first time anyone has been allowed to film here. The missile submarine Patrick Henry slides down the slipway. Nuclear-powered, only the endurance of her 10 officers and 90 men will limit her ability to stay submerged. With no refueling problem and almost unlimited range, she'll be able to go anywhere where there's water deep enough and then fire a missile that will travel another 1,500 miles. Triton, the largest sub in dock here, is a vast underwater school in which the United States Navy will learn the powers of its newest weapon. Next her, shrouded in cables, is the highly secret missile sub George Washington. Skipjack again. Third United States sub of her name and the first ever atomic undersea boat. To get underway from cold, it takes 4 hours to check and start her nuclear plant. Here's Neville Clarke with her Captain Commander Behrens.
Well, Captain, you've got a fine ship there. You proud of her?
Very proud. I think I have every right to be proud of her.
You have. How does she differ from the old type of submarine as far as the skipper's concerned?
Well, of course, she's still a submarine with all the submarine missions. We just have the speed and maneuverability to enable us to perform them that much better than we've ever been able to do it before.
How long have you been in submarines?
16 years.
And you've tried practically every type in that trial?
Yes, I have. I've served in every American type.
Do you think this is the ultimate in submarines, or?
No, I don't. I think this is today's ultimate.
What's the next stage, or can't you tell me?
Well, of course, one of our most important developments are our Polaris missile submarines. Also, we'll have new skipjack types, which will have marginal improvements over skipjack.
Now, what's it like to live on a nuclear submarine?
Well, I like living on any submarine, and skipjack is just a little bit more comfortable than some of the ones I've been on before.
This is the submarine training school. Like all service schools, they teach spit and polish as well. Outside, the skeleton of an early model. Inside, a mock-up of the very latest. In this dummy control room, they go through the whole drill of diving without leaving dry land. The moment comes to raise the periscope. At the moment when the periscope would break surface, the lights go on, and in the model room, they reveal an imitation battle scene. Mobile dummies represent ships. The ships move into the attack, or the quarry tries to shake off pursuit, all by remote control. In other classrooms, slides show a sub's eye view of surface ships. From this strange angle and by the light filtering down the periscope, they have to spot and recognize the various kinds of craft. In this school, they learn the lessons that they'll put into practice in exercises like the one that ended today, or in real earnest if the need should ever arise. But the cost of naval maneuvers is high, so there are many model battles, toy fleet engagements, where a novice can make a mistake or two without sinking £80 million worth of valuable ship. They even have toy atom bombs. Let's hope they stick to them. But don't run away with the idea that Sackland is 100% United States, even in peacetime. Northwards to Nova Scotia, Canada, headquarters of the Canadian Atlantic sub-area. Here, Her Majesty's Canadian ships are Sackland sinews, and everything is not only shipshape, but Bristol fashion as well. The United States Navy is dry, but the Royal Canadian Navy knows how to splice the main brace. At Maritime Headquarters Halifax, Neville Clarke asked the Admiral Commanding, Admiral Pullen, about his part of the job of keeping the free world free.
The job we have to do is not a very glamorous one. It involves long hours in an aircraft or in a ship, usually in bad weather. It's not very exciting. It is on occasions. But we feel that we have quite an important role to play.
Your role is, in all your weapons, aircraft and ships, anti-submarine. Is the submarine the big menace in any future war?
Well, twice in my lifetime, we've nearly been defeated by the submarine. And if ships don't move, or cannot move, the world will stop. That's a basic fact. Other people have read their history books, and they've got two first-class examples, and obviously, if there is to be another war, which God forbid, the submarine could play a very large part in achieving victory for the enemy, unless we can stop him. I think the submarine is one of our main concerns. In fact, it is our chief concern in the Maritime Command.
The Canadians have a dreary task to perform. From Greenwood, Nova Scotia, with the Royal Canadian Air Force crew of an Argus, Neville Clarke set off on a 20-hour patrol of North Atlantic waters. They fly such patrols round the clock on the lookout for Russian subs, which are believed to be operating up and down the North American coast. All patrols carry fused homing torpedoes that can kill a sub at depths below 700 feet. A dreary job, but it could become only too exciting. The eastern half of the North Atlantic is Canada's beat. The western half is patrolled from Britain, patrolled by sea as well as by air. The sub-hunt here is conducted by Shackletons, supported by frigates and helicopters. When a Shackleton gives the view hello, the helicopter takes over and keeps the sub in contact until the frigate can race in for the kill. Hostile aircraft may have to be engaged while the depth charge attack is pressed home. There's nothing new about depth charges. What is new about this method of killing subs is that they find them faster and hit them harder than they used to.
And so another NATO exercise has ended. But the Atlantic isn't quiet. Above the sounds of the sea, the roar of the jet engines, the hum of the nuclear submarines, and all the noises of modern naval operations go on. The statesmen may reach for the summit, and we may forget NATO, But the navies of NATO are still preparing for the defense of the West and the war that everyone hopes will never come.